Another school under fire tonight for an African American History Month exercise gone wrong. This time at Shepherd Elementary School in Northwest D.C., where a kindergarten skit had youngsters split into black and white groups, with children allegedly encouraged to say, "We don't like black people." Bruce LeShen has been looking into this.
The kindergarten teacher had the youngsters reenacting a civil rights era lunch counter protest. The children split into black and white groups, with white children refusing to serve coffee to black children. "May we order some coffee? No, get out of here." One mom complains white children were encouraged to say, "We don't like black people." On an app the teacher uses to communicate with parents, reaction was swift. "I'm not sure about the skit." Splitting the kids up by race and having them play antagonistic roles based on their race might be causing some confusion and risk creating division where none existed before. Whoa, I had no idea they were being divided this way and doing a skit. And I think it's unconstructive and unhealthy for 5-year-olds to role-play racial antagonism against their classmates. The teacher backed off. While the students were excited about the opportunity to perform, they didn't grasp the complexity of the issue the way I'd like them to. As a result, the skit was removed from our performance.
Some of the parents were looking for an apology. Now, days after the uproar, they finally have a letter home. Not an apology, but the principal does say that she wants to ensure that all the students feel comfortable, safe, and loved. In D.C., Bruce LeShen, WUSA 9.